Good morning, everybody. Let us begin with the metta practice.
Okay.
May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed,
Without hate or resentment.
whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. With this metta thought, once again let us focus our mind on our breathing. Pay attention to the breath exclusively at this moment, without using words, concepts, or ideas, or without trying to manipulate or control breath. Let the breath be natural and pay total attention as the breath is happening this very moment. It is very important to understand how quickly the breath is moving and changing. It is not easy to notice this until we pay total attention to the breath. And then notice the breath touching the rims of nostrils and expanding our lower abdominal area and chest area. As we breathe out, lower abdomen contracts, chest area contracts, the breath leaves our nostrils. As we breathe in and out, we notice also a very brief pause between inhaling and exhaling. Two pauses, in fact. One is at the beginning of inhaling, other is at the beginning of exhaling. So, then you pay attention to, in fact it naturally happens, our attention also flows with the movement of our breath. We notice feeling arises and passes away, perception arises and passes away, thought arises and passes away, consciousness arises and passes away as we breathe in and out. And as we notice this rising and falling of feeling, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness along with the breath, our mind does not try to hold on to anything, because it is impossible to hold on to any moving events, moving, changing Dhamma. And then we become even more relaxed, because there is nothing special to hold on to. And then we notice when the mind and body becomes relaxed, breath becomes relaxed, the body becomes relaxed, mind becomes relaxed, and then that relaxed state of mind, rigidity, uptightness will not exist, and there metta feeling arises in our mind. Only in the relaxed moment, relaxed time, relaxed state of mind, metta begins to be felt, and then also we notice compassion arises along with this. Our restlessness and worry fades away. Then we have compassion. When compassion arises, also our mind becomes very clearly energetic. This is not the physical energy, this is psychic energy or mental energy. When that happens, mind becomes very active, alert, and then our restlessness and worry fade away. Our sleepiness and drowsiness fades away. As we see this happening in our own personal experience without instigated by anybody, it just happens, and see our potential of growing spiritually, and then we build up confidence in the Buddha who taught the system, confidence in the Dhamma that we experience and taught by the Buddha, confidence in our community that practices this, who also have reached this state. When we have confidence, joy arises, seeing the reality, seeing the truth in our own personal experience. That leads to happiness. When happiness arises, mind becomes more peaceful, more tranquil and calm, and that is the state where we gain concentration. It is very easy to summarize this practice this quickly, but in practice it takes your own personal sincere attempt, clear state of mind to experience what we repeat every day. That takes a very big commitment. Even though this practice is very short, but even in this short period, sometimes you can experience all of them. With this, I like to stop talking and let us practice together. Dukkha patta ca nidukkha, bhaya patta ca nibhaya, soka patta ca nisoka, hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. so too may all beings be. With this very noble thought of metta in mind, let us focus our mind on the Dhamma talk that we are going to give today. Today I want to start a new discourse. Uh, it has two levels. One is very simple, superficial level. Anybody can, without even much knowledge of Dhamma, can understand the superficial level. Other level, one has to, while I'm talking, one has to pay total undivided attention or read the discourse in books with very clear vision to comprehend the deep meaning of this discourse. Let me begin the discourse. This you find in Majjhima Nikaya in the third volume, number 133. That is called Mahakaccana Bhaddekaratta Sutta, which means Mahakaccana is a name of a very venerable Arahant monk and a single excellent knight. This is the title of the discourse. Mahakaccana and a single excellent knight. Bhadda means excellent, Eka means single, Ratya means knight, a single excellent knight. This is the background, or this is the title, and the background of the sutta is one day when the Buddha was living in Rajagaha, in the park of the hot spring, Tapodavana. As you all know, Rajagaha, those days, was famous for hot springs. Even today, you find some hot springs there. Then, when it was near dawn, the Venerable Samidhi went to the hot springs to bathe his wash his limbs. Samidhi is another monk, very handsome, young, very noble monk. So early morning he went to the hot springs to wash himself and bathe. After bathing he came out of the water and stood dressed in one robe. Normally when monks take bath, they wear one underrobe, and this venerable monk was drying his limbs after taking hot bath early morning. Then, when the night was well advanced, a certain deity of beautiful appearance who illuminated the whole hot spring area and approached Venerable Samidhi, and then he asked a He's standing on one side. He asked Venerable Samidhi a question. His question is, Bhikkhu, do you remember the summary and exposition of one who has had a single excellent night? That is one line, one sentence. The title. Uh, do you remember that? Then Venerable Samidhi said, friend, I do not remember the summary and exposition of one who has had a single excellent night. But friend, do you remember the summary and exposition of one who has had a single excellent night? This deity said, Bhikkhu, I too do not remember that. Then when he, having said that, he gave an advice to this monk, the deity. He said, but Bhikkhu, do you remember the stanza of one who has had the single excellent night? There is a stanza. If you don't remember this line, how can you remember the stanza? Stanza is the exposition. Line is the fundamental, or the one line. He said, no, I don't remember. And then he asked the deity, do you remember? Deity was so humble, he admitted that he did not know, did not remember. Then this deity again gave him a very friendly advice, because although I don't remember, but I know this is an excellent statement, excellent teaching. Bhikkhu, learn the summary and exposition of this stanza and master the summary and exposition of this stanza. And remember the exposition of one who has had single excellent night. Bhikkhu, the summary and exposition of one who has had a single excellent night is beneficial. It belongs to the fundamentals of the holy life. It belongs to the fundamentals of holy life. That means, Bhikkhu, he says, Bhaddekaratta Uddesocha Vibhangocha Adi Brahmacharyakot. Adi Brahmacharyakot. It is so important, that is the fundamental of holy life, beneficial and belong to the fundamental of the holy life. That is why it is important. But the deity doesn't remember it because he is not living a holy life. He was an ordinary person. And the monk, Venerable Samidhi, was living a holy life. Therefore, the deity advised Bhikkhu, you learn it. It is very interesting, this. The deity is a lay, deity is not or even ordained person. But he was good enough, friendly enough to advise this monk. For your benefit, learn it. So, then Venerable Samidhi, when this conversation over, the deity disappeared. Venerable Samidhi, after drying his body, dressing up and putting on his robes, he went to see the Buddha. After paying homage to him, he sat down on one side and told the Blessed One all that had occurred between them and said, it would be good, Venerable Sir, if the Venerable would teach me the summary and exposition of one who has had a single excellent night. Buddha, without any hesitation, said, then Bhikkhu, listen and attend closely to what I shall say. Now, listen to it and pay attention to it, what I say. So Venerable Samidhi agreed. Then Buddha said this. Now, this is the important part of the whole discourse. Let not a person revive the past, or on the future build his hopes. When you hear this, you might get a little bewildered. Anyway, when we explain, you will understand. For the past has been left behind and the future has not been reached. Instead, with insight, let him see each presently arisen state. Let him know that and be sure of it. Invincibly, unshakably. Today is the effort must be made. Tomorrow death may come, who knows? No bargain with mortality can keep him and his hordes away. But one who dwells thus ardently, relentlessly, by day, by night, is he the peaceful sage has said, who has had a single excellent night. It sounds very simple. Don't postpone for tomorrow. Don't simply revive or try to relive the past. Very simple. Then Buddha said this and got up and went away. That's all he said. But Venerable Samidhi, and there were some other monks, of course, not only Samidhi, there were other monks. When the Buddha left, they were confused. Then soon after the Blessed One had gone, the bhikkhus considered, now, friends, the Blessed One has risen from his seat and gone into his dwellings. After giving a summary and in brief, without expounding the details, meaning, now the deity asked Venerable Samidhi to learn the fundamental and the exposition, learn the summary and exposition. Buddha gave the summary. He did not give the exposition. Then these monks thought, well, he gave the summary. How do we know the exposition, details? Then they all discussed and said, who will expound this in detail? Then they considered the Venerable Mahakaccana is praised by the teacher and esteemed by his wise companions in the holy life. He is capable of expounding the details, meaning, suppose we went to see him and asked him the meaning of this stanza. So they all went. So far so good. So far simple. Now they went to Mahakaccana. Mahakaccana is famous for, even in Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha mentioned that among those who are capable of expanding brief Dhamma statement, expanding and give detailed exposition, among them Mahakaccana is chief, number one. Buddha periodically gave titles to various monks. So Venerable Mahakaccana was selected as number one, who would be able to explain the meaning of a statement made briefly by the Buddha. So they went. They went to see Mahakaccana, and after exchanging friendly exchange, the courteous and amiable talk was finished. They sat down to one side and they said to Venerable Mahakaccana, the whole conversation Venerable Samidhi had with the deity, and when Buddha, he came to the Buddha, and what the Buddha said to what you call Venerable Samidhi and other monks, he reported all these to Venerable Mahakaccana and said, and requested Mahakaccana, please, could you explain the meaning of this? Mahakaccana was so humble, so simple. He said, friends, this is a very beautiful way of saying, friends, it is as though a man needing hardwood, seeking hardwood, wandering in search of hardwood, thought that hardwood should be sought for among the branches and leaves of a great tree, standing possessed of hardwood after he had passed over the root and trunk. The huge tree is standing there with majestic looking, with the very big hardwood, and somebody just turning the blind eye to that goes and tries to pull branches, limbs, and try to look for hardwood on the leaves, among leaves. So Venerable Mahakaccana's simile is very wonderful. So you pass the hardwood, the trunk, and looking for the hardwood among the leaves. And so it with you, Venerable Sirs, that you think that I should be asked about the meaning of this after you pass the Blessed One by when you were face to face with the Buddha, for knowing the Blessed One knows. Buddha doesn't say, I know. He says, I know because he knows. He knows perfectly, completely, fully. So he said, knowing Blessed One knows. And seeing he sees. Just like we see with our eyes, Buddha sees with wisdom. He is a vision. He is knowledge. He is the Dhamma. He is the Holy One. He is the sayer, Vatta. He is the proclaimer. He is the elucidator of meaning, giver of the deathless, the Lord of Dhamma, the Tathagata. That was the time when you should have asked the Blessed One the meaning. As you told you, you should have remembered it. Having said, Venerable Mahakaccana not actually said these things in order to uh, increase his importance, as sometimes ordinary people do. But he honestly, sincerely said, Venerable monks, you should have asked the Buddha himself. And then these monks admitted, yes, Venerable said, that is true, that is true. But they did not say we forgot. Maybe they, out of respect for the Buddha, they did not want to trouble the Buddha. They simply, out of great respect, simply accepted what he said. When the Buddha left, they left to get the meaning from Venerable Mahakaccana. And then they begged him again. Then Mahakaccana said, then listen, friends, and attend closely to what I shall say, exactly like the Buddha. So they agreed. Now this is the part that we have to pay more attention, close attention, and to understand, because this is the heart of the hardwood. In this discourse, heart is this. Venerable Mahakaccana says, when the Blessed One rose from his seat and went into his dwelling after giving summary in brief, without expounding the detailed meaning, that is, let not a person revive the past. How, friends? So Venerable Mahakaccana take line by line of what the Buddha said from this long series of lines. Of course, it is in Pali. Only when we read it in Pali we get the taste of the meaning of this. Just for you who have been very serious in Dhamma, for your benefit, I like to say it in Pali. Atitang nanvagameya nappatikanke anagatam yadatītaṃ pahīnaṃ taṃ appattam ca anāgataṃ paccuppannaṃ ca yo dhammaṃ tattha tattha vipassati asanghīraṃ asaṅkuppam taṃ vidvā manubhrūhaye ajjeva kiccam kātabbam ko jaññā maranaṃ suve nahi no saṅgaraṃ tena mahāsēnena maccunā evaṃ vihāriṃ ātappiṃ ahorattaṃ atanditam taṃ ve Bhaddekarattoti santo achikkati muni. That is the stanza. So Venerable Mahakaccana starts explaining Atitaṃ nanvagameya. That means the meaning is, let not one revive the past. How can one revive the past? When Venerable Mahakaccana said, one's consciousness becomes bound up with desire and lust, they are thinking, my I was thus in the past and forms were thus. Because of one's consciousness is bound up with desire and lust, one delights in that. When one delights in that, one revives the past. Okay. One, say, when we take, for instance, we, to make it more personal, we. We have eyes, and we can see with forms with eyes. In the past also we had eyes, and with those eyes we saw forms. The forms and eyes meeting, consciousness arises. As soon as the consciousness arises, along with that, desire and lust arise. Because we are not mindful. As soon as eyes means that we have the pleasantness, clarity of the eye, which is subject to change very quickly. When the eye is changing very quickly, the form also is changing very quickly, because eyes, form does not exist without eyes. And when the form appears in the eyes is changed, and the form that appears in the eye also changed. We are not talking about the eyes form on the outside. We are talking about the form that went into the eyes through the color, through the light. When the light is there, eye open, the light falls into the eye with this form, and the eye disappears, and eye also is changing very quickly. Then I don't know how quickly eye changes, and we don't normally see that. We know the eye is changing, the form is changing, the light is changing, eye consciousness is changing. 4 factors are changing. Within this quick changing, the combination of these 4 factors, chanda raga, chanda means desire, raga means in English lust, chanda raga, arise. That time, chanda raga arose at that very instant, and it disappeared. Eye appears, light appears, form appeared, desire appeared, lust appeared. Now, these 4 plus desire and lust, 6 appeared and disappeared instantly. There is no way to measure the speed that they changed, they appeared and disappeared. Now, today, if we were to think, very honestly speaking, when we were to revive it, we were to bring it to the current, present moment, we are just imagining, because we cannot have that experience again today. We cannot have it. Now we are dreaming of what had happened in the past, but we can never ever bring that experience to the present moment. And if one were to think of bringing it to the present moment, he would simply wasting his mental energy. He cannot do that. So Venerable Mahakaccana said, as Buddha mentioned, don't try to revive the past or bring the past to the present. Atitam nanvagameya. Don't try to revive the past now. Because instantly they disappeared and no more they exist. And that is the meaning of not reviving the past. So Venerable Mahakaccana explained this, and this is the detail of the summary. Buddha gave the summary, simply said, Atitam, don't bring the past to the present, or don't try to revive the past, and he left. Venerable Mahakaccana explained what and how people try to bring the past to the present, and how it is impossible for somebody to bring the past to the present, because they change, they are impermanent and disappear so quickly in the past itself. At the blink of one's eyes, all disappeared. And therefore, this is the meaning of the first line. Please think of it in your meditation, or think of it whenever you have a free time, when the mind is not cluttered with all sort of things. Just think and look at your mind, your experiences right now, to see whether this is true or not. I think with this, I took a little longer time to give the background and so forth. And next time I continue this discourse, next time when I continue, I will continue Venerable Mahakaccana's explanation of the other statements in this stanza, in this one night, excellent one night. Why it is so excellent? It is so excellent, friend. Mind becomes free from desire and lust for that very moment. That very moment we reflect on it, we understand it, and that very moment is excellent moment. Excellent moment. So with this I want to end this morning's session, and want to continue our metta practice as we did at the beginning. May all those who are suffering in pain, in hospitals, with the very compassionate care of doctors, nurses, and their hospital staffs, may they all be free from suffering, pain, and return to normal health. And also those who are grieving the death of their loved ones may return to their regular normal life, especially through the understanding of Dhamma. Our purpose of explaining, expounding the Dhamma, friends, is nothing but the peace and happiness of listeners, deepening their understanding of Dhamma, so that they can really see the gems that they see in the Dhamma and apply to their life to relieve their grief. And especially I want to thank share metta with those doctors, nurses, and hospital staffs who are so dedicated to do their compassionate service, even at the risk of their own personal health. May they live long in very good health. There are many people who are financially supporting them, and may they continue their very generous, compassionate practice. There are many leaders who have done a lot of wonderful things to help as much as they can with wisdom, understanding and compassion. And may they continue their very wonderful service. And other leaders who are still maybe trying hard in their own way to help people. We want them to have better understanding, compassion, and wisdom to make right decision and wise decision for the benefit of all of us. With this, I want to end this morning's session. Thank you for participating in this, and we continue.